All right, everybody, we are now recording. If you ever have to go back to this lesson, you can find it on our YouTube DCI educational group. And today, I want to say thank you guys for the extra 30 minutes. I was coming in and I needed to get to my mom, and I made it here and I'm set up in her room. So she's going to give me a little bit of her time while I um, give you guys my time. So, look, I want to talk about notes, lesson planning, and notes. I know Hill, we needed to refresh on that. I wanted to say great job on your video presentation.
Thank you.
What was your experience with the presentation? How did you feel about it?
It was good. The thing is that my first video was 10 minutes. So I had to
Mm.
go do another one to cut it down. I'm like, okay, let me try to get this down to supposed to have been 3 to 5. I did go over by a minute and a half, but I enjoyed it. It wasn't bad at all.
And once you get started, it's almost like, man, I got so much stuff I want to say.
Yeah, that's what happened with that 10-minute video. And I was like, whoo, okay. And then I had an issue with, trying to store, but it wasn't bad. I think the most challenging part for me was trying to figure out what is it that I would want to talk about, teach about. So,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Um, Here's a thing. I know you do Canva, right?
Yes.
Okay. Here's an easy one too. You can send anything to Canva, and it'll, especially if stuff that's too large, you can send it to Canva. Then you just go in Canva and get it and send it where you
Okay.
need to go. I do that sometimes when I have to have large reports and I have like 50,
Hmm.
60 pages. Number
Okay.
two, also in Canva, take your notes and put it like a presentation, and or you can take even a flyer. Just go to present and do present and record. So it literally opens up your camera and it'll record you, whether you're standing there, sitting down, as you review through the slides and presentation. So and it
Okay.
allows you to save any kind of way. You can save it as just audio. You can save it as a link or presentation. With you included in the PowerPoint, and you can, there's many different ways that you can save it. So, that's just a note. When you're trying to figure it out, you find you figure it out, and
Yeah.
just passing that along.
Okay, that's a great tip. I will play around in Canva a little bit more because I haven't did anything other than flyers in there. So I
Yeah,
need to explore it a little bit more.
yeah. You get some time, just go ahead and check it out because it'll be one of those tools you use. And I believe for educators, you qualify, I think, now to get it for free, like the full, without having to pay for the professional end of it. You get that for free. So I wanted to look into that too, but for right now I'm still on my original team, and I know they upgrade every year. The cost has gone up every year, but I've kind of stayed at my $10. No more. I don't think it's more than $12. So I'm like, okay, I got 5 people on the team. I can put
Hmm.
5 people on the camera to do whatever they want to do, and it's been $12 for a long time. So I don't
Oh,
need
that's
it to go
good.
up. I know, right? We're gonna look today at a lesson plan that includes the notes. We're gonna go over a few things. It is going to be a nail lesson plan, but it is going to be an example that we're gonna use. Okay. Um, hey, Miss KD, how you doing? And she may be busy on the other side, but if you're
I'm not
listening,
busy. My phone was on mute. I'm fine. How you
okay,
doing?
good, good. I was just saying, if you're busy, just saying hello.
No, my phone was on mute. I'm sorry.
No problem. All right. So we're going to jump in. This is going to be new to you on this side, but we're going to look at a sample lesson plan that includes everything that you'll need to prepare, including notes. Okay. And so our thing is we need to make sure we have notes for practical and make sure we have notes for the theory. At the end of the day, you're going to have 2 lesson plans. Whatever subjects you choose, You're going to have two lesson plans. I'm going to go back into the instructor booklet so we can look and see what those chapters are that they want you to that you'll be able to pick from. And so from here on out, you go ahead and pick the chapters you are most comfortable with. Pick at least two. You know, hey, I'm gonna do lesson planning on these two, so you got something to choose from. And usually they have been choosing the chapters for you, but I've had a lot of people say that they had to tell them what they were going to teach. So maybe some changes are going on that end, but just be prepared. I like to say, pick two subjects and complete two lesson plans, complete lesson plans, so you'll always have your backup. Let's proceed to go over um, to that presentation now. Okay. And so, actually, this is one of our nail teachers. She actually works for DCI now. It's one of our nail teachers. And she made an amazing. I may have to get her to come on one of these days for 30 minutes just to give you her experience of taking an exam. But I think she did extremely well on her exam. So this is her lesson plan demonstration. So this is her practical component, and you will make two lesson plans. One will be theory, one will be practical for each topic you're going to choose. So let's go through this top to bottom. Okay. This is going to be observation. I'm using this for educational purposes, but I will also send this as like a sample, and then you guys will build from there. Okay. So lesson plan demonstration. The topic is nail tip application. You'll place your name, you are the instructor, and the date. Okay. You can make up a date or do your date of your test, however you want to do that. The lesson objectives. I want you to have at least three objectives. So, sometimes in school we may have seen TLW, TLW, or TLW. I used to always say, what does that mean? What does that mean? But TLW is just the learner wheel. Okay. So you'll find that this is the top thing on the boards, and it's the first thing that teachers introduce in the mornings, without even saying anything. The students know this is what we're working on today. Okay, so the learner will. And so those objectives, the learner will, upon completion of the lesson, the student will be able to blank. So if you don't do the learner will, you can use this caption here. Upon completion of the lesson, the student will be able to, number one, identify the supplies needed for nail tip application. Make sure your objectives are clear and concise. They don't have to be long as well. Number two, name the types of nail tips. The learner will be able to name the types of nail tips. Number three, the learner will explain the importance of proper fit. So basically, she's saying, after I teach you, you'll be able to know the difference between the nail tips. You'll be able to identify the supplies needed for the nail tip application, and you'll be able to explain the proper fit. Lastly, she has demonstrate the stop, rock, and roll method for applying nail tips. That's what you will be able to do. Okay. So those are her clear objectives. As I stated, I wanted you to have at least three. She has plenty of them. She has six. So she went above and beyond. Okay. Number five is demonstrate the nail tip application procedures. And number six, demonstrate the pre service and post service procedures. So this could be a lot to teach them in 30 minutes. Remember, they're only giving you 30 minutes to do the entire 30 minutes is you got to do at least 30 minutes. Most of the time you have the prompters that are observing you teaching. They're going to stop you at 30 minutes, 31 minutes. Okay. And so you may say, well, I want to keep on going. I really supposed to have an hour. Look, they've already given you the grade you're going to get at that 30-minute mark. And so you got to make sure you don't overload your stuff. Okay, what you're going to teach, I say 3 for the max. But remember, in the for instance, if this is the demonstration, you're going to have to work through all the things you say you're going to do. All right. And so make sure that you're making sure it stays on your side and it's not getting too far from you. Okay. Also, demo, she has demo pre service and post service procedures. So she's going to show how to clean before and clean after. She's going to show tip application. She's going to show this stop rock and roll method. She's going to speak about the importance of proper fit, the different nail types, and also the nail tip application. Those are the things that they are walking away with today. Also, you must include, what do we need to get this done? You can't just come into the class and say, hey, this is what are we doing today. You also got to include your tools, your implements, equipment. Okay. So they need the handout. The handout is probably something giving the students instructional, you know, an instruction on how to do something. It may be a picture of a nail. Since we're doing nail to application, maybe a picture of a nail, or it may be the 5 nail shapes. It's a handout. Okay. If we're doing, give me a subject. Miss Hill, give me a subject.
Okay, hair cutting.
Okay. Hair cutting. When we look at handouts for hair cutting, um, the things that I would do this hair cutting and hair coloring, the things that people would not remember so fast, but definitely information they need to know. So when we look at hair cutting as far as a handout, we could be talking about the terms. We could talk about, we could have an equipment handout. We're talking about the tools, and there would be a picture of a shear, and then the labeling components of the shear, picture of of the razor, picture of the clippers, and so that may be the handout that we'll do. Also, the handout could talk about the types of haircuts. So the picture of a 0, a 45, a 90, a 180, those particular components as well. So you need to have a handout that's relative, excuse me, to the subject that you're teaching. A mannequin hand. All right. Here's the thing with the mannequin hand for state board. Our individuals who are going in Tennessee, the mannequin hand must already have like a sculptured nail on it, very short sculptured nail on it. Okay, so she needs, in order to do what she needs to do, gotta have the mannequin hand, gotta have the nail tips, the dehydrator, the tip cutter, abrasive board, and buffer block. Okay, she's just demonstrating and she's teaching how to apply the nail tip. She's not teaching how to apply the acrylic. She's just staying within her lane of what this lesson is all about. So if your thing is cutting, you have to think, what are going to be the tools, implements, and equipment for this demo? Okay. What are the students going to need in order to complete this demo? Number one, definitely the handout. Number two, you can say the mannequin because it represents the head mannequin or the hand mannequin. And then on down the line, comb, section clips, razor, clipper, shear, whatever you think they need, that will fall under tools, implements, equipment. If we were looking at, you would do, your subject was waxing for the esthetician teachers. If your subject was waxing, under tools, implements, and equipment, you would think, what do my students need to complete the waxing service? So we will have the handout. On that particular handout, you think about information they would need to know. It could be tips, it could be a handout telling you the difference between soft wax and hard wax. It could be a handout giving you step by step of the waxing procedure. It could be terms. So they would need their handout. Um, They don't have a mannequin hand, so you can probably just say the facial mannequin, and then you can move to from here. You need to have your wax, your 2x2s, 4x4s. You need to have your cleansers, all of your products or whatever that you will need to complete that. All of that will be here. Okay. Tools, implements, and equipment. The time allotment. You will need, how long is it going to take to teach this? 1 to 2 hours. All right. 1 to 2 hours. Remember, you're building this like it's a class that you're really going to teach. Okay. Should take 1 to 2 hours. You can say, oh, that's easy. 1 to 2 hours. And here's the thing with 1 to 2 hours. You may break that up into 4 days. That means you'll teach this for 30 minutes a week, 30 minutes a day for 4 days. After 4 days, this class should be done. Mostly in a traditional school setting, theory may be first, and it may be 45 minutes to an hour. The first thing they do in the morning, 45 minutes to an hour. Okay. And so that tells me if this thing is 45 minutes to an hour and it shouldn't take more than 2 hours to teach this, after 2 days, we are moving on to the next thing. Okay. And so this is the time allotment. Definitely think about what you're teaching. Don't try to teach everything at one time. Pick one thing and say, how long does it take for me to teach that component? For instance, if we're going to teach hair cutting, I can't say I want to do clipper cutting. Okay. It's still vast. You say you're just going to be cutting. I still need to know what kind of cut we're going to do. You can say, oh, we're going to cut bangs or we're going to cut fringe. Okay. That's going to be the lesson for today. Break up other things, the 0 degree cut. And I think, y'all, I found a picture today of my mom took my picture the day I went and took my, I think, in cosmetology exam. She took my picture, and I had to have on all white. At that time, when you took your instructor exam, you had to have all white on in Tennessee. All white. From that all white, we moved on, took the picture, and I remember I said, man, it's been so many years ago, but I have that picture. Okay. And I remember all the things that I had to do, even when I had to get ready to move over into the instructor component. I remember all the things I had to do. Okay. And I think I went to Nashville for that. But continuation at the time allotment, you have teaching aids. What's going to help you teach this class is the handout. All right. So your teaching aid will be the handout. Your teaching aid could be anything that's going to help you move the lesson forward. It's going to enhance the lesson for the students. Okay. Some individuals would say study guides, but it's a handout for this one. The introduction or the morning motivation. Okay. She introduced herself. She said who she was. Um, she introduced her name, that she's a licensed cosmetologist studying to be master educator. Also, she's been licensed for blank years, and she gives a motivation. Okay, so that is going to be your initial introduction, and then you have the presentation outline. Okay, demonstrate pre-service procedure, demonstrate nail tip application, and demonstrate post-service procedure. That's what she's going to teach. Actually, this comes out of the state board exam. Okay, this is how they have it for nails over here in Tennessee. Pre-service, nail tip application, then post-service. What do you do to set it up? Do the service and how you gonna clean it up. Okay. Here's the notes, Ms. Hill, that we needed to add to our lesson planning. This is relevant notes of discussion points. Okay. Many times individuals will put these on the board as bullet points. Okay. Or they'll have them in their on their tablets, as bullet points. But these are relevant notes. Okay, so these are things that in notes would enrich the classroom. Notes may not be things that you get from the book, it may be summaries from other resources, but your notes help enrich your classroom. Okay, so although they have their book, their study guides, you're telling them what chapters to read, the other assignments, your notes is what's really going to enrich that class. Okay. Pre service procedure ensures that the service you provide will be effective. I will make sure I have bullet point notes or tips to discuss during this point. Number two, nails tips should fit properly from sidewall to sidewall of the natural nail. These are observations as well. So as you're working, these are things that you look for. These are your relevant notes and things that you should be discussing. Okay. Especially how well they're doing, what they're missing. Let's go back and do this again. And also just relevant notes if you want to ask them questions about the pre-service, the service, or the post-service. Number three talks about adhesive. For number four, when applying a nail tip, you should use the stop, rock, and hold method. And at that point, she's probably doing a demonstration of that as well. Relevant notes and discussion. If you know, there are four notes and discussion. There's four notes. There were six um objectives, but only four notes. I'm gonna ask that you balance those out. Okay, because you should have a note for each objective. I would like you to have a note for each objective. Okay, so that's your presentation outline. There's your notes. And then a part of your notes also is your summary and review. How do you close the class out? So if you look at this is just like a story. You have your motivation, your objectives, that's the intro. Then your notes, that's the body. Okay. Your notes is where you're actually teaching from. That's the body. And then you close out that story with a summary. How do you close out the lesson for the day? You want to summarize today's lesson. Okay. I provided a demo showing how to properly apply a nail tip to the actual nail. What else? Students got to see hands on the different types of nail tips and how to properly fit them to their client. I demonstrated it almost like journal entry. Okay. But in the lesson planning, you always want to do notes and then you will store the lesson plan. Why do we do that? Because if you're not there or we're using this lesson plan again, we can expand from this. Okay. So it gets you to where you don't have to remake the wheel. You just start expanding the wheel, start editing a little bit. And most of the time with new schools, new programs, you have to go through all of those chapters and create lesson plans for all of those chapters. Okay. Once you do that on the first go round, you don't really have to do that again until there's a new publication come out, or until you want as a team, you guys say, "Oh, we're not gonna hold up. We're not gonna teach it that way. We're gonna build a new plan here." Because if something's not working, don't keep doing it the way you've been doing it. It's time to move it around. Okay, it's time to do something new if something's not working. So she closed out with her summary, and the summary of the lesson really tells us it brings everything together. Remember when they didn't know, and you did the pre-service, you talked about the tips, showed them the techniques, and then you closed it, brought it all together. That's the summary. Okay. I will also include in the summary some type of business nugget the students will need to know why they need to know this. And you need to know this because it's going to be beneficial into the industry. I will bring something about working in the industry into it at the end so they won't forget it. And they'll say, "Oh, I need this. I need to store this in a place that I'm able to retrieve it." Lastly, she has what are the pre-service procedure? These are some questions And remember, we had that 5 question exam. These are questions also that you can ask. I have a copy of her exam as well. So, what are the pre service procedures? How many different types of nail tips are there? What is the method you should use when applying a nail tip? I can definitely ask these questions in the class, and they should be able to answer them because I just spent 1 to 2 hours teaching them about nail tip application. So that is just the lesson plan reinforce. All right, reinforce. Let me see if I can pull up another one from her. It may be her exam. Let me see if I can pull that up. All right, here's an example of the handout. If you haven't done a handout already, okay. If you haven't done your handout already, here's a handout. Okay, this is the nail tip application procedure. And honestly, you give me a subject, we can do a handout on Canva tomorrow. We can create the handout on Canva as a practice. All right, so this is her handout. This is what she gave the students prior to the demonstration of the class. Had the topic, implements and materials, okay, and mannequin hand, nail tips. She had pictures as well, a tip cutter, nail adhesive, nail dehydrator, abrasive board, and block buffer board. This was her handout. And as we stated, the handout does include the procedure. All right, includes the procedure. So it's as she's working and showing them, this is something that the students could follow along with as well, take home and continue to practice. Okay. But yeah, that's the handout. And the handout looks about 4 pages long. So based on what you got, you will make sure that you have that handout. They don't have a limit, a minimum. So I've seen handouts 1 page, I've seen handouts 5 pages. So in general, just think about what you want to show the students as a handout to aid in the lesson. So yeah, that's the handout. And I wanted to show her sample tests. And I think we're good on our tests. She did all multiple choice. Okay. And oh, she did fill in the blank. So the exam for five has to have at the minimum 5 questions, and you have to have 2 types of tests and 2 types of questions. So she has multiple choice and she provide the question. and the multiple choice. Okay. Question, multiple choice, and then she has fill in the blank. That's the exam. She also has the answer key included as well. If you're going to do this exam remote, it is probably going to go like this: that the week before your exam, it may even be 3 to 5 days before, they want you to send them a copy of your lesson plans. It must include the sample test, it must include your notes, things of that nature. I'm about to show you now what that sample test looks like. Well, this is sample test, but we got to pull up the instructor booklet and make sure we check off all of the items that have to be sent up. And so we're going to prepare right before you do the practical. You got to pass the theory first. But once you pass the theory, you can go right ahead and do the practical. So let's have that ready when you get ready. That practical is like a shoe in. Okay? It's a shoe in. And if we make it to a certain point in Tennessee, it won't be a practical. Just like Mississippi doesn't have a practical, Tennessee is not going to do a practical for the instructors. But right now they do. But that's the thing that's supposed to be coming. Yes. Hey, is she done with her try? Okay, so let me pull up the. Let's take at least 3 to 4 minutes. Let's take just a short break. I'm on another computer. Let me pull it up. And if you have any questions, I'll take those when we return. Okay, 3 or 4 minute break. Stay tuned.